This Easter, I'd like to share with you two works of art that have been significant for me. A few weeks ago, I listened to a brilliant interview with the Indian-born British artist Anish Kapoor, and the discussion turned to his famous void works. Kapoor's installation, Descent into Limbo, was unveiled first in 1992. It's utterly relevant to the meaning of Good Friday, though not from a position of Christian faith. In fact, one might say the opposite. It's a concrete cube, 6 meters square, which you enter through a small door. Once inside, you are confronted with a large black hole. But this is no ordinary hole because it's so incredibly black. In fact, you're not quite sure if it's a real hole at all. This cross-section of the design shows how deep it is at almost 2.5 meters. It's painted with a special high-tech pigment that absorbs over 99% of the light, developed as a military coating. So this is a really unsettling void. It's a darkness that is somehow full. Anish Kapoor's intention is to create an experience on the edge between art and anxiety, challenging the viewer to confront their vulnerability as they stand on the edge of infinity, of nothingness. But this infinity is not comforting. It is deep, deep darkness with no certainties. Kapoor called his installation Descent into Limbo because he was inspired by a painting by Andrea Mantegna of that subject. Jesus descends to the dead before rising on the third day. We see Jesus from behind speaking to one of the souls emerging from a kind of manhole that's the entrance to a sunken world. Anish Kapoor takes this Christian content out and just leaves the hole. But there's a great story. In 2018, a curator in Bergamo discovered the top half to this painting by Andrea Mantegna. It depicts the resurrection of Jesus and thus completes the story with the message that Jesus' death is victorious. The two works were brought together for the first time at the National Gallery exhibition later in 2018. On Good Friday, deep darkness settled in the sky over Jerusalem as Jesus died on the cross. Jesus did not just stand on the edge of an abyss. Innocent though he was, he plunged deep into the abyss to bear God's rightful anger at human sin. His death was not for himself, it was a death paid for others. Well, I'm just arriving at Iffley in Oxfordshire, and the parish church of St Mary in Iffley is one of the finest Norman churches in England. It was built around 1170 by the Saint-Remy family, and it has all the classic features of Romanesque architecture. I've actually come to Iffley to go inside and to see a stained glass window. Stained glass has an amazing history going back to the 12th century, around the time this church was built. What I love about this church is that they have an ongoing practice of commissioning works of art, so that you have the old sitting alongside the new in a kind of dialogue of Christian worship in this place over 900 years. Roger Wagner's window was commissioned in 2012, and it captures this wonderful, rich sense of Christian theology. There's no darkness here. It's the most incredible blue sky and green hills, a very English pastoral scene in many ways. The tree of life first makes its appearance back in the book of Genesis. At the centre of this blossoming tree is the crucified Jesus Christ. And that's why this tree is blossoming, because of the redemption and reconciliation with God that it opens out. It now connects to that tree found in heaven, the tree of life, with the river of life running through it. Can you see how the sheep gather at the bottom of the cross? And those sheep represent people who come to Jesus to follow him. He speaks of himself as the good shepherd, the one who will protect his sheep. So it's an invitation to us this Good Friday to put our own trust in the death of Jesus for forgiveness and reconciliation with God. I love the conversation between these two works. Anish Kapoor's work fills us with the reality of much of our lived experience, which is not easy, where we have to confront death, where we have to confront uncertainty, where we have to confront the darkness within ourselves. And yet the flowering tree speaks of the mystery of the death of Jesus Christ, that in that moment of punishment and pain, Jesus bore the punishment for sin. He opens a door into a whole other world because through his death, we're able to receive forgiveness, friendship with God forever. And that is a beautiful certainty which keeps me going. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you a happy Easter.